Hey, Pat McCardle here with my good buddy Wayne from Rockford, where today we're diving deep on the model year 25 RZR Pro family, all about audio. Stay tuned for more. All right, so Wayne, for these model year 25 RZR Pro models, we've got some all new audio from you guys, and it's really bumping, right?
We got a ton of new stuff, and not only that, for the first time ever, the Ultimate's gonna come with full content, meaning 4 speakers, subwoofer, 2 amplifiers, over 800 watts of power. So the first thing you'll notice is new tweeter pods upgraded into the dash. We have a new 6.5-inch speaker loaded into new grills and new enclosures underneath the new dash, as well as a update to the rear styling and enclosure volume to the rears. And to top it all off, we have a 10-inch subwoofer now tucked up underneath the dash.
Yeah, and it looks like everything is like well positioned to shoot that audio right at the driver and passenger, right?
Yeah.
So you get really good spatial sound coming at you.
Yeah, we spent a bunch of time, especially with the tweeters and the tweeter pods, making sure that you had a really wide sound stage. So when you're in the vehicle, it doesn't matter what position you're in, you have really good sound.
Nice. Well, hey, I think you were able to bring some cutaways so we can kind of look at what it was like last year compared to this year.
Yes.
So maybe let's jump over to the cart and be able to show some of that stuff off.
Yeah.
All right, so Wayne, we got a lot of cool stuff on the table here, right?
Yes,
and I
we
think,
do.
you know, you kind of pointed out where on the vehicle the stock stuff is on these Ultimates, but let's kind of walk people through the differences between, you know, the last 4 or 5 years and what's new on these model year 25s for audio.
Absolutely.
So starting out with the tweeters, what do we got going here?
So we have the same kind of inverted crown dome that we previously had that gives us that nice wide dispersion pattern, but we tweaked the crossover a little bit. So if you flip those over, you'll see the old one had a first order crossover.
Which is this guy, right?
That's correct. The next one, or the new one, has a second order crossover. So what we're really doing there is we're kind of shoring up the frequency response and making sure that we get the right frequencies to the tweeter, the right frequencies to the mid-range, and the right frequencies to the sub. So that just sonically helps us sound a little bit better.
Nice. So all new, good-looking enclosure, right?
Yes.
Integrates in with the A-pillar really nice. Doesn't have the same rubber boot the previous one did, so this stays in place a lot better too, I think, from what I've seen.
Yep.
And pretty simple, right? With these passive devices, you don't have to tune up. Like once you've got them dialed, they're good.
Yeah, we've done all the work for you. It's going to be simple plug and play for the customer or anyone that swaps one out.
Perfect. All right. So next up, we got dash speakers here, right?
Yes. So the tweeter's coupled with a mid-range up front. So the mid-range, what we're really trying to do is get the low-end response, or kind of the bass, if you want to think about it, out of the music. So the new speaker,
which is this heavier
this one
right
here,
Yep.
uses a ferrite motor. It's a little bit different than the older one. The old speaker uses a rare earth neodymium motor. That magnet is almost equal in strength. It just uses a different material. Now, with the new speaker, we added a little bit more material, and we made the magnet a little deeper. And what that allowed us to do is make this voice coil right here longer than the previous voice coil. That longer coil means more travel, more X-Max, which means more bass to the customer.
Nice. So you get a little more bump out of this, if you will.
That's correct. Yep.
All right. So obviously I can feel that this one's heavier, so new improvements there.
Yes.
Next, we got amps, and these obviously visually look different.
That is correct.
But the differences aren't just on the outside, right?
No, the big thing you'll notice first on the outside is one uses a new cast heat sink, the other one uses an extruded design with end caps. So a little bit better on the environmental sealing, doing it the new
this
method.
way?
Yeah.
Yep.
The other big thing that you're going to notice though is now this amplifier has constant power. The old amplifier doesn't have constant power. So constant power is a patented technology Rockford owns. What it allows us to do is put the same amount of power to a 2 ohm or a 4 ohm speaker.
Oh, okay.
So last year you were able to get 400 watts out of this amp if you bought the Stage 5 upgrade kit. This year you're going to get 400 watts out of this just on your stock speakers. But you got the ability now with constant power to add up to additional 4 more speakers in the vehicle.
Ah, okay.
We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, so even though the impedance changes, this amp is capable of basically still driving at the same power level.
That's correct, yep. So whether it's a 2 or a 4 ohm load, you're getting 100 watts out of that amp.
Yeah.
That's important because most aftermarket amps that you add on, even if it's a 400 watt amp, you're only really getting 50 watts to the speaker. So you'd need over 800 watts in the aftermarket world to compete against this.
Yeah, so nice. So even though these two are, I mean, virtually the same size, you know, same thick, I mean, everything about them tells you they're not a whole lot different. I'd argue the new one's basically twice the amp of the old one.
That is
fair?
Fair statement.
All right, cool. So as we go on to the rear speakers then, I think we actually got 3 things sitting here, right? So what do we got?
First thing is the new coaxial. So this one has an old coaxial inside of it. So you see now we're putting the tweeter in the center. So this previous gen used a neodymium motor, much like the mid-range did. The new speaker, same improvements as the front mid-range driver. Longer voice coil, more travel, more bass.
Nice.
But in order to access or get that bass, we had to make the enclosure in the rear a little larger. The air is acting kind of like an air spring to the speaker. So if you have not enough volume behind the speaker, then the speaker doesn't really play much bass. It's really stiff.
Yep.
If you put too much air, then the speaker can move around wildly. By optimizing the speaker and the enclosure, we're going to give you guys more bass this year out of all the speakers.
Nice. All right, so we got tweeters, we got the fronts, we got the amp, we got the rears. What is this big bad boy we got back here now?
Well, this continues on the low end extension of the frequency response, or giving us even more bass, which is what the customers have been asking us for. This is a 10-inch 400-watt woofer with a 400-watt amplifier built in. This has a little bit larger volume than the previous year just because we optimized it. We had a chance to redo the dash, so really spend a lot of time this year looking at what we were missing from the previous gen and adding that back in.
All right, now just for everybody at home here that might not know what everything is, so kind of simple walk around here, right? Sub is here.
Correct.
Right, monster voice coil in this thing compared to what we just looked at, right?
Yes.
Huge magnets in this. Obviously the amp's cut in half so you can kind of see a little bit of what's inside on that circuit board. And the rest is really wiring, right?
Yeah, it's also a 400-watt amplifier, so they're matched. There's no having to wire for the consumer at the end. It's just simple plug and play and get you on your way.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's awesome to point out here too that maybe you don't see initially, right, is, you know, fully sealed even with the connector that's poking out through here, right? But you look, there's really no holes in this box at all, right? Everything's well sealed up so it can handle the environment that we're putting it through. All right, so Wayne, we just covered off on everything that comes in the ultimate trim, which is what we've got here in the shop. But it's a little bit different if you get a sport or a premium, right?
Yeah, the first thing with sport and premium that we have to talk about is premium's going to come with ride command. So a sport version, you can get a stage 1, which includes a PMX or a Rockford head unit or source unit. Stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4 now can also be purchased as a complete kit. You don't have to buy the individual stages. So we made it a little bit easier for the customer to upgrade. But on top of the stage 4, we also now have a stage 5 and a stage 6.
All right, so stage 5, if I got this right,
yes,
would be upgrading the sub, right?
Yes. Not only do you get to upgrade the sub, though, for the first time, you are going to see an active level controller. This is a patented piece that's only sold through Polaris. And what the active level controller is going to do is let you get all the bass, but only at half the volume of ride command. One of the big feedbacks we got back from the customers was they wanted more bass. After talking to the customers, we really realized that they had enough bass, it just wasn't where they wanted it. With most users listening to their ride command volume around anywhere from 7 to 9, what they really told us is they wanted to have volume 11 bass. So what we did is we made a little active level controller, and even if ride command's at volume 7, you can reach down, grab the bass knob, it goes in one of your switch locations, and now you can turn it up and get full bass out of the woofer even though you're not at full bass on ride command.
Nice.
Or for volume level, sorry.
Okay, so that's stage 5, and then stage 6 would actually add doors in, right?
Stage 6 does add door, but before we get to stage 6, stage 5 also comes with all stainless steel grills.
Ooh, which we don't have here.
We don't have here, but you do get a cosmetic upgrade. So it's the tweeter grill, the front grill, and the rear grills all come with
stainless,
electro-polished stainless steel grills to make sure they stay shining.
Yeah, nice. So I think the other thing we want to show people while we were back here, so we actually popped the rear speaker pods off of this rig. So even though it comes with these, we figured we'd kind of show everybody what these suckers look like, right? So again, bigger enclosure, right, that we already talked about. you know, built-in sealed connector on here, and, you know, kind of integrated mounting. There's a little hook point here in the back. You can see this thumb screw ends up going through this hole in the front. So pretty simple. The vehicle, you know, has got a little hole in it for that harness to poke out up through. So you bring this pod back, you plug that guy in, assuming you don't drop it like I just did. Makes it a little bit easier. But, you know, it's pretty easy to grab, fish back up through there. You know, snap that connector together. Get the back positioned so that the wires are out of the way and that hook point is right where it needs to be. And then the front basically comes right down, snaps into place, and the thumb screw goes in. So super simple install.
Yeah, and with the vehicles coming pre-wired with the connector, it makes it real easy if you want to do it at home or in your driveway. It's true plug and play, no cutting, no drilling on any of the parts.
Nice. Now, we actually did strip the outer door panel off of the other side, so if we can maybe wander around over there. The cool thing is, people maybe haven't seen this new door construction, but the key, if you can get this camera in here, is that you'll see there's a couple bosses. It's this one and this one right here on the outer door, that to add the door speakers, you just drill those holes out right in the, you know, the inner diameter of that. And we'll go over to the bench next and kind of show you what some of this stuff looks like. All right, so Wayne, in the magic that we have, cart number 2 has showed up with a whole slew of new parts for us here, right?
That's correct.
And I think the coolest thing you were talking about here is this tiny little guy right here, right?
Yes, so that is the new punch active level controller. That simply drops in the switch position in the dash. What it's going to do is plug into the harness in between ride command and the subwoofer or the sub amplifier.
Yep.
And that's going to let you control the sub level independent of the volume on ride command. So as long as you're above volume 7 or more,
yep,
you can now get the full volume out of your subwoofer enclosure as if you're on volume 11 or 12.
Nice. And obviously super simple the way these are labeled, right? Ride command on this side, your amp goes on this side, and then this guy right here plugs into your pulse bar just like a light bar or any other electrical accessory. And then you got a simple small fuse here that just protects this controller, right? So
perfect, and all can be accessed if you got a long arm right from the top of the dash. So
yeah, perfect.
Easy installation.
So now you said this comes with a stage 5,
yes.
But can you buy this all by itself, or do you need to get the stage 5 set up to get the bass knob?
You can buy the bass knob actually on its own. It is also retro, so it'll go back in model years.
Nice.
So anybody that has an older model.
So you've got a model year 20 or newer Pro XP, Turbo R, or
right in.
Pro R?
Yep.
Nice. So, all right, so this is pretty slick and easy, and the sound is phenomenal.
Yeah, and that also will control the 10-inch or the 12-inch.
Okay.
We'll talk about the 12-inch with stage 5, but it'll
yep,
also control the 10-inch that comes with a stage 4.
Nice. All right, so when we're talking stage 5 then, basically this sub enclosure gets swapped out for one that goes from a 10 to a 12.
That is correct. It's a little bit larger in volume, optimized for the larger woofer. You get a little bit more of your glove compartment back than you previously had in previous years, so that's a good thing. Once again, the sub's all plug and play, goes into the factory mounting locations, pretty easy swap.
Nice. All right, then next up, this has got to be one of my favorites. So this is really the stage 6 setup with the door speaker, right?
Yeah, so now we can go and add another set of speakers to the front doors. Also gives you a little ergo door handle. Super easy installation. The outside skin of the door panel pops off with a few screws and a couple clips.
Yep.
There is drilling required. This is the one thing that you have to drill a hole for that we provide, but if you look at the back of the door skin, we give you the guide holes and we give you the screws, and they're stud mount, so you're simply putting a nut on the other side. It's simple, quick installation.
Simple. And I think a couple key things here that really give the level of integration, right? You got a built-in door handle here, and you also extend the armrest a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So super trick setup here, and sound quality again. This has got that, you know, mid-range with the tweeter built in, right?
That is correct, and these are once again plug and play with the wire harness that comes with them. There's no no drilling, or sorry, there's no wiring.
No, yeah, no cutting and splicing.
Yeah,
right?
no cutting and splicing into the wiring. It's direct plug and play.
Awesome. And then far end now, kind of outside of what we talk about in stage kits.
Yeah, this is just an offering that we have. If you're not looking to add the door speakers in for whatever reason, maybe you put custom doors, we do have the rear add-on pods. These are universal. They can be added to any system, and they just plug and play also with the amp. Amp will take it.
Nice. All right, so Wayne, I think the other thing we got to talk a little bit about that, we don't necessarily have here at the shop at Polaris, but when you're back home at the Rockford Fosgate shop, can you kind of walk us through like the process of tuning, right? How do you kind of dial in those EQ curves to make the sound like, really that RZR and Rockford sound?
Yeah, what we're really doing is we're looking at each speaker and we're trying to get the desired frequency response out of each speaker so that when we sum it all together, we get the desired, I'll call it Rockford sonic signature. The Rockford sonic signature is really as much bass as we can with a smooth mid-range and then kind of a little bit of emphasis on the highs. There's a lot of external noise going on, obviously, with the large motors and the exhaust. So to overcome that environmental noise, the top end helps a little bit. When it comes to the speaker positioning, we use a symmetrical time alignment method to align the phase of all the speakers. What that does is it makes sure that no matter what position you're sitting in the vehicle, you have a good listening area. We don't prioritize any one position over another. We also use a microphone that has actually 6 microphones in it, and it's set up as an array. And when we put it in the seat, what the purpose of those 6 microphones are to do is to represent the different ear positions or listening level amongst the height of different people. So all that taken into account, all that summed together is how we get the Rockford sonic signature.
Nice.
Through tuning.
All right, well, I think we better jump in this Pro R Ultimate here and take a listen.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so Wayne, we took a couple minutes and stole the knob off the cart along with the harness. And, 2 screws to pop this center cover off, get at the pulse bar. The rest of it we could access right from, kind of the driver's footwell area.
Yep.
I mean, it couldn't have taken us more than 2, 3, 4, or 5 minutes to get this thing in here.
Yeah, it's an under 5-minute install. It's quick.
That's fantastic. Well, I think the boys got some random rock queued up for us, so should we try it out here?
Yeah, let's see it.
All right, I don't know how anybody's gonna have one of these and not buy that accessory, because that thing is freaking sweet.
It's a pretty cool knob.
So the awesome thing is when this is all the way down, that's like normal bass, right?
Yes, so just as if you were normal listening it, this device isn't even here when it's all the way down.
But the cool thing is when you got your volume like, 6, 7, 8, you don't have it all the way maxed out, you can crank this knob and get all the bass performance as if the volume were tuned to 11, right?
That is correct. And when you turn the volume up on ride command, this actually has a limiter circuit inside of it, so it doesn't cause a bunch of distortion. It just lets you get to that max level and stay there.
Yeah, I mean, with the sound coming out of this thing, it just made me chuckle. I mean, literally, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it's retro all the way back to 20, so anyone that has an older Stage 4, older Polaris vehicle, this just plugs right in.
Nice. Well, hey, Wayne, thanks for coming into the shop today, man. We learned a heck of a lot about what's going on. That's it for this episode of Shop Talk. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you want to see next time.